This video is a supplemental video to what we learned about in Notes 3, those dimensional analysis bridge problems. We're just going to cover a few more steps and kind of go in this process of understanding bridge problems a little bit more in depth and cover a couple of example problems as well. So let's get to it. The first thing that I want to show you here is an example. We want to take a look at how many centimeters are there in 12 meters. So the first step in dimensional analysis, or these bridge problems, is to identify what you have and what you are looking for. Okay, so that's step one. Identify what you have and what are you looking for. So in this problem, we have 12 meters and we're looking for centimeters. All right, so that's the first step. Step two is to start off your problem by writing down what you have first. So in this case, we have 12 meters. And then you can see that I drew a long line underneath, and that's going to be the beginning of our bridge. Okay? Next is we want to find a conversion factor, and we're going to write that in next. So over here we have our conversion factor with 100 centimeters and 1 meter. The thing about conversion factors is that whatever you have on top and whatever you have on bottom, those two things have to be equal to each other. Okay? So there are 100 centimeters in 1 meter. All right? So those two things have to equal each other because effectively they cancel each other out because it's 100 centimeters or 1 meter over 1 meter. So it's the equivalent of multiplying by 1. Okay? So always make sure that the units also cancel out. So in this problem, our conversion factor is converting meters into centimeters. And if we have meters in the numerator, the only way to cancel meters in the numerator is to also have meters in the denominator right here. So we have to put meter here. That's why I did not put 100 centimeters here on the bottom and 1 meter at the top. That would have been incorrect. I would have ended up with meters squared in the numerator and centimeters in the denominator. But in this case, meters will cancel out with meters, and that's the same unit. So your step 3 continued. Make sure you place your conversion factor so that the units cancel. Typically diagonal from each other is the standard. Okay. Step 4, place in any other additional conversion factors if necessary. In this problem, we do not need any more problems or any conversion factors. So we have meters canceling out and turning into centimeters, which is exactly what we want. Once you have reached your final unit, your final ending unit here, in this case centimeters, you want to calculate the final answer by canceling out the units. Okay? There's two ways to do this. I just like to do multiply everything on top, multiply everything on bottom, and then do top divided by bottom. Some students like to do what's called the zigzag method. So follow your problem in a zigzag pattern. So this is how you would do that. When you're going diagonally from one number to another, you are going to divide. So going from 12 to 1, we're going to divide. 12 divided by 1, and then you would go up to 100 centimeters. So divide when going diagonally and multiply when going vertically. And remember to cancel units as you go. So we divide this way, meters cancel with meters, and then you multiply going up. So 12 divided by 1 was 12. 12 times 100 is going to give you 1200 or 1200. Okay, so that's how you calculate your final answer, and you should also be left with only 1 unit at the very end. So let's go ahead and take a look at another example problem. So here's example problem number 2. In this case, we have how many centimeters are there in 12 miles? Okay, so this is getting a little bit more difficult because centimeters is metric and miles is an imperial unit. So we need to be able to convert from metric to imperial. All right, and the only metric to imperial conversion that I know off the top of my head is that 1 inch is equal to 2.54 centimeters, but perhaps there's one in this problem that will be identified to us. In this case, we want to identify what you have and what we are looking for. So we have 12 miles and we are looking for centimeters. So in step 1, identify what you have, 12 miles. What are we looking for? We're looking for centimeters. The next step is to start off your problem by writing down what you have first. So we start off again writing down what we have and starting that bridge underneath it. We drew that line. Okay. Step 3 is to find out what conversion factor you have and write it in next. Always make sure that the units cancel out. So in this problem, our conversion factor is converting meters to centimeters. So maybe we are using that conversion factor from centimeters to inches. So I know that in 12 miles, if I want to convert that into inches, First, I need to convert miles into feet because I don't know how many inches there are in a mile, but I do know how many feet there are in 1 mile. I know that in 1 mile there are 5,280 feet. Okay? So in 1 mile, 5,280 feet, these two things are equal, so they'll effectively cancel each other out. And I put miles here on bottom again because in the denominator, because I already have miles up here in the numerator. So I want to cancel those out. All right? Make sure that's the same unit. Make sure you place your conversion factor so that the units cancel out, diagonal from each other. The next thing is I want to lay out any other conversion factor that I may need. So that's step 4. Place in any other additional conversion factors if necessary. So going from feet to inches, I can do that. 1 foot is equal to 12 inches. And then I also know the conversion factor between inches and centimeters. So go in 1 inch, there are 2.54 centimeters. And just making sure that all the units cancel out. Miles will cancel out with miles. Feet will cancel out with feet. Inches will cancel out with inches, and then one that we're left over with at the very end is centimeters. Okay? Once you have reached your final unit, it's time to do the calculation. We calculate the final answer by canceling the units out. Again, I prefer to multiply everything on top and then multiply everything on bottom and then do top divided by bottom. You can do it that way, or you can do the zigzag method. That is also acceptable. Follow your problem in a zigzag pattern and divide when going diagonally. So 12 divided by 1, all right, and that's going to cancel out the miles. And then you multiply by 5,280 divided by 1 times 12, so we multiply, divide by 1 again, and then times 2.54. Alright, and when I do that, I get, here are my steps for my math. 12 divided by 1 was my first step, and then I got answer of 12 for that. Carry that over and multiply is my next step, so multiply by 5,280. I get 63,360. Then I divide by 1, that was my next step, so I carry that over. And then the next step was to multiply by 12, get 760,320, divide by 1, carry that over, and then final step was multiply by 2.54. So how many centimeters are there in 12 miles? There's roughly 1.9 million. And the final unit is going to be, of course, centimeters. So we want to make sure that we include that as well.